Hello, friends. So you might be asking yourself, why would I want to practice psychiatry? And if that is a burning interest of mine, is it still worth doing in the age of medicine and AI, and with so many kind of changes going on, so many YouTuber physicians who seemingly have kind of hung up their degrees in some way to either do education primarily or to kind of switch to other things like productivity? And so I'm going to give you my perspective on why that is, just kind of in an unfiltered way that might actually lead you to more questions. So certainly let me know in the comments below. But I just want to give you my take on why I'm still excited to do this work, why I feel like I'm in the right place, and why I still will continue for the foreseeable future to keep practicing in this way. So for those who are new to the channel, I am a double board certified child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist. In my day-to-day, I am mostly seeing kids along with their family, and their ages are typically 5 to 18 years old. And we're tackling the stuff that, hopefully is most on their mind or that they care about most. And often that revolves around, depression, anxiety, trauma, ADHD, autism, and really trying to help them to get a holistic view of how to move forward and how to be excellent in their world. And so I guess that first adjective, or one of the early adjectives that I used about the whole child, I think that part is still really exciting to me, and one of the reasons I enjoy practice and why I can conceive of myself continuing to do this for years and years and years. One, the whole child is really complex. So even if you have a abiding, enduring theory of what the essential inputs are for kids, so take your favorite, theoretical psychologist or psychiatrist from the past. Okay, you could go with, Piaget or, one of the luminaries. You still would need to plug those inputs into the current climate that we live in. And so that part of detective work and how to make those very real things about human development that we all need relevant in today's time, very, very important. And so let me give you an example, right? Technology, the thing that you're consuming now and listening to my voice, has really radically changed the way our kids encounter the world. And I say our kids because if you're watching and you're a dad like I am, then, not only does this matter to you clinically, but also your kids are facing it. And so again, some of you might be just hearing me for the first time. So I have 7 kids. The oldest is a senior and the youngest is not even 2 years old yet. And so I actually have a child in pretty much every developmental spectrum except for full-on independent adulthood. So we have 2 in high school, 1 in middle school, 2 in elementary school, and then 2 preschool kids. And one of which is a foster kid previously, who now is a permanent feature of our home and family, and we get to love on him forever and ever. Amen. So having said that, it really has changed parenthood, right? And so when you have a theorist talking about mutual hostility, right? That's the bleary-eyed, mom who is looking at her infant and unsure of how to console their infant in the middle of the night, who's having just the temper tantrum and the meltdown. And so the mom is really trying to furiously figure out, is this a hunger thing? Is it a diaper thing? Is it, right? And so because you don't have, the baby doesn't have, surely, the dynamic vocabulary that an older or a later adolescent would have in describing their distress, that can really lead to both sides wanting to feel nurtured and cared for, and at an impasse as to how to do that and to make that real. And so there is a something like that, right, that is present in our age, even later in life, in a way that, it's certainly been visible in, early 2000s, 90s, 80s, but our time is especially difficult in that way. And so how do we enrich attachment? Well, attachment theorists weren't thinking about this type of technology. They were thinking about technology, but you couldn't have imagined fully, I think, AI and VR and how those things might impact family life and how people connect together. And so that part is something that I enjoy because I will continually be challenged in my conception of How do we raise the happiest kids, the most fulfilled kids, and those kids who especially are struggling with, biochemical or structural processes that get in the way of maybe their fullest flourishing? And then how do we translate that into the world that they actually inhabit? Not being able to, or just having less opportunity to ring your friend's doorbell and ask if they can come out to play. That is a different shift. That is not a thing. That's not a thing that many of our kids have done a lot of, unless you live in some really unique places that maybe value that maybe communally have said, oh, we're going to put away cell phones until, high school. That's really rare. And so a lot of friendships are being forged online. But in terms of having the barriers, the gateways, how do you do that well without being, a boss and being a collaborator with your child? That looks very, very different. So I think from that perspective, as you can hear, I could go on and on, but I should probably stop in talking about, why that challenge will forever remain new for me and new for my field, because as humanity, as the culture changes, right, I think the human inside doesn't change, but how we encounter the world, what we expect of it, and the people that we live with, that changes and can change over time from culture to culture and era to era. So that's it. I will never get bored in this field. What else do I like? The other thing that I like is I just have a lot of colleagues in various parts of medicine. And I get to see their families. And I think every style has kind of a different struggle that's kind of unique to, maybe unique to their field, right? So like the surgical, family, there are a lot of demands on that time. I mean, there is extraordinary call, and yet they're doing some really brilliant, amazing, kind of life-saving things. And so, how does that parent demonstrate to their kids that I am both things? I'm both here for you in your moment of crisis, and I can be called across town at the drop of a hat in the middle of your performance. And my heart can be divided, but no less in love with you and wanting you to be known and wanting you to feel the love of a father who cares and only wants to provide the best for you, right? And so I think obviously any type of medicine that you do, you could set up a world where those things are strained to their max, right? You could, even me as an outpatient, child and adolescent psychiatrist, I could, locums, I could, get appointments at multiple other places and make sure that all of my free non-clinical time is also spent, engaged in other type of productive work. But I choose not to practice that way. And I think in some ways that's a little easier for the psychiatrist than other fields. We don't have a ton of overhead. I don't have many procedural-based interventions that require large expenditures of money and a large operational staff and facility in order to make that happen. And so that freedom then allows me to say, yes or no to projects that I want to do, and perhaps a little bit more time freedom because I'm not bound. I'm not bound by a structure. I'm not bound by a particular location necessarily. And so I could practice within a pediatric group. I can practice on my own. I could, occupy a small corridor in a hospital that they could basically use for outpatient services if we really wanted. Some psychiatrists are embedded in a school. I could do, telepsychiatry too. I really love in person. I could not get away from that being kind of the cornerstone of engagement. I think COVID certainly taught me that as well. But that's probably the second really big anchor. And so what's in this for you? So if you're watching this, my guess is that you probably are somewhat interested in this field and what real unfiltered experiences are like and why someone would either do it or stay with it. And so that's where I stand. For those of you who, in hearing me describe these things, think, hey, there are parts of the story that sound like my story, or at least my interest and the type of life that I want to lead or model at some point, make sure you check the top link both in the comments below or in the description, where I have some free things to offer you that may help you in that decision process. Now, if you're a medical student or pre-med, I have nothing to sell you, right? You guys are early in your journey trying to figure out what you want. My goal is just to be here and give you all the free knowledge in the world, and I hope that you just kind of share it with anyone else who you think might need it, but really there's nothing else in it. But for those who are maybe further along, maybe in residency, or perhaps you're an early career psychiatrist or physician or surgeon looking to figure out your life family balance and how to do that well, how to show up in your marriage, how to show up with your kids, or just looking maybe for some clarity. Some people start residency and then decide they want to do something different, and sometimes there's a cost to asking people inside of your own program, because they're still responsible for your grades and things like that. There is something special for you, and so I'd love to be a resource for you if I can. So also check the link in the description below, and happy to talk to you. So again, if this resonated with you, and especially if you're in the pre-med med camp, make sure you check out my video that talks about how did I get to this point in the first place, and that might actually help explain better what it is that I get from doing the work that I do. I'm grateful for your time. Take good care and be well, and I'll see you in the next video.